All right. Coming on. Tim Lindley, thank you so much. I like how you said great advice even without me having to say anything. Okay, let me see. Make sure the sound's off here so it doesn't backflow. Let me see here to make sure everybody. Okay, let me see. Okay. Yeah, we got the right channel. All right. I don't see anyone on YouTube. Usually that one's like has crazy numbers of people. Today it's just gonna be Facebook. And okay, I'm gonna go live. Hey, everybody, welcome. Thank you for coming today. I like how someone just saw the title of this and said good advice. I mean, it really is. I mean, I'm going to tell everything from my personal story, but you guys been following me along. Like, this is pretty much not just Lisa, it's across the board. So I'm just going to lay it out. It needs to be said. More than happy to be the one to say it. And just really open your mind to what I'm about to say. So, first of all, I'm Lisa Phillips. I help Black professionals build rental property portfolios, usually in minority neighborhoods. Do this for cash flow. I help them build them from $2,000 to $4,000 a month in cash flow for financial freedom, and so that we can go on to do our higher purpose, which is give back to our own communities in different ways. And the cash flow just helps us free up the time to get there. And as you know, we don't always fit in corporate America. So before I go into the non-minority advice, I just want to say flippers are the worst. You guys know I'm really big on you can also have a rental property portfolio and be mindful of affordable housing and not gentrify. And I'm going to look for houses in the Tidewater area, and they have all these rinky-dink ugly houses that they spent about $20,000 on. And then they want to not only add the $20,000 to what they bought, but like an extra $60,000. Like that 2 month worth of work is worth $60,000. And so I'm happy to say those houses are just on the market, but I'm just like, I could have purchased that as a first time home buyer and done it. So flippers, whatever, I know you guys are making money, but as far as the community concerns, you really price out first time home buyers and you really price out communities. So they're just annoying because I run into like 6 or 7 properties that I could have bought for $80,000 less as a primary homeowner, but they're trying to make exorbitant amount of profit. I'm just glad to say that they're just sitting on the market because they're taking 900 square foot homes and they're priced more than homes twice that size because they're trying to make more profit than cents. Out of the way. So what I want to say, you guys know since I've been doing this from the very beginning, when you go on the real estate investing forums, Bigger Pockets is really big. They had a whole campaign against me when I was like, well, why are you forgetting these neighborhoods? Mostly minority neighborhoods, but not always. And a lot of people were just like, oh, those people, this war zone. And I'm just like, I'm new at this and you guys aren't, so I'm deferring to you. But the reality is, I'm pretty sure you're wrong. 6 years later, 48,000 people on my platform, hundreds and thousands of investors who are like, Lisa, thank you. When you showed me how to do this in these neighborhoods, I already have a portfolio of 5, 6, 7, 8 homes now, right? We realized they were quite wrong in the investing forum. And you're like, why are you that wrong? Because they had people who had bad experiences. I attributed those bad experiences to people who don't understand the culture trying to go in there and being shown that you need to take the time to learn other people's culture if you're going to work there than the other way around. Right? So they've had bad experiences, but I completely understand why if you don't know how to class navigate or navigate between different races really well, especially when you add in socioeconomic differences. Because I came from a lower socioeconomic minority neighborhood, and I've just had to class navigate a lot more than other people, so I can sit there and look and go, yeah, you're not going to have a good time if you don't learn those human skills. So a lot of people on the Bigger Pockets have done really bad going into low-income neighborhoods. I know why, but if you ask them, it's because of those people. I know it's because you as a landlord didn't know how to navigate well, right? But if you ask them, they didn't, they did everything right. And I'm like, you probably did everything with a lot more classism than you may have understood because you didn't understand the neighborhoods. So I start this platform. I'm like, hey, well, y'all are ignoring these neighborhoods and it's fine. I did it once, twice, three times. I was like, hey, everybody, start doing this. People started doing it. 6 years later, thousands of people with portfolios, and they're still over there saying, you shouldn't go in these neighborhoods. Like, if you go to the forum, there's constantly people who are going on there, and they're like, hey, why are you guys saying no to this? And they're just like, bam, bam, bam. So many people who have no experience and a lot of arrogance saying, you shouldn't do this because of X, X, and X. And then other people will show up and go, I've done just fine. So have I. So have I. And the big moral of that story is you can't go on that website to get information like that because they're just through class, just they're diametrically opposed to it through their own experiences. So people going on there just get their hopes flattened, and they should be in our groups doing it, right? So that wasn't just a plug for my group. It's just like if you go there trying to seek these solutions, they don't have it. And they haven't spent the time doing it or trying to learn or innovate or create new ways to do it or navigate it. Not the way my group has if you go to my sub 30K mastermind group. So what I'm trying to say is we've proven this. We've proven that you were just dead wrong. There's ways to navigate any socioeconomic class if you want, and there's ways to do it thoughtfully with affordable housing and profitably. You can have all of those if you just do it, just mindfully and smart with innovative new techniques like we do it. So 6 years in, we have that. And so I go out, personal story, and I'm looking for a new place to live for my primary, not an investment property. I'm looking in the Tidewater area. And let me just say hey to the people here just now. Hey, Reese, congratulations. Reese Moore just got pre-approved for a letter for a 3-unit housing. He's going to live in 1 unit and rent out the other 2. Thank you. You guys heard, hear my words. Unless you come from money, you need to buy your primary residences like they're an investment property. It's not always easy, but if you can, you need to do it unless you come, because that's when he leaves. That's how he has 50, 60, 70, $80,000 in equity in which he can sell or use. If you buy your forever home at 35, first of all, you're not going to stay there forever. Okay, that's just not forever homes. And secondly, no, that's just the main point. It's not your forever home, and you don't get that appreciation by getting something a little undervalued. And again, you guys, please press like and if you like what I have to say. I have some trolls who feel entitled to what they feel I should say or shouldn't say, and they get mad when I say what's on my mind. Now, the logical thing for them to leave, I feel like every time I get on, I'm telling people to leave. The logical thing would be for them not to pay attention, but they do. So please press like, please press heart on YouTube and on the Facebook, just so it overpowers the people who are entitled to tell me how I feel or should be talking about these issues. But let's get one thing straight. I'm very open about I help Black professionals, and I'm very open there is for a reason, because of the wealth gap and disparities, okay? And because of that, I will say things that go to our issues and what we have to face, and advice like I'm going to talk about that we cannot take because it keeps us back and it keeps us down, and that is not what I'm about. You are not doing that over here with me, okay? So if you don't like what I have to say, please unsubscribe, because you are not in my tribe. I have a tribe of people waiting for me to do what I do, walk in my light, and share my knowledge so that they can advance, okay? Are we clear? So if you don't like it, please leave. I am the person who always tells people to leave if you don't like what I have to say, but you're not entitled to tell me what I'm going to talk about or how, because I speak the truth, and I wouldn't have helped that many people if I wasn't speaking the truth, okay? All right? Okay, yes, yeah, laugh. It's fine. I don't even get it. Don't follow me. Get off my timeline. You are not entitled to my social media, nor do I want you here. So, yes, please like and subscribe and press hearts on that, just to overpower those voices who think they're going to tell anybody what they're going to talk about or say or what they should say. I'm going to tell you the truth. Now, back to the story. So, we already knew that in the investment world, people just had so many stereotypes and were dead wrong, right? Just dead wrong, and we've proved them wrong, and they still really won't admit it. Now they're just be like, well, maybe I don't know, I wasn't good at it, but they still will say this stuff works. That us investing in our own neighborhoods, or when my Hispanic investors invest in Hispanic neighborhoods, which it really does go down along those lines, they still can't admit that these low price neighborhoods can be anything but horrible, right? Even though we proved it, and I'm happy in these neighborhoods, my audience are happy, they still can't admit it because they were so wrong. It's like they cannot admit it because they'll have to I can't delete 10 years of me saying the wrong thing, right? So they're just not going to admit it. They can't go back 10 years because if you look at their profile, wrong, they're just not going to do it, okay? So let's just get that clear. Now, we know that's wrong in the investment world. And so now I'm in the regular, I don't know, not regular world, but I'm looking for my primary residence, right? And I've been in this world where it's like, well, as an investor, we know how to analyze properties. We know how to look at a market at a slightly better perception as far as making money than most people. We have that skill set that we've learned and acquired. And so now looking at my primary, I'm going through the process and I ran into the same thing again. So I'm looking in the Tidewater area. That's like Norfolk, Virginia. And and I'm looking and I'm like, okay, let me go to City Data Forum. Let me go to these open forums and Yelp to see about these neighborhoods. Because I'm seeing some great properties that don't cost a lot that I could move into for my primary, let alone, and not necessarily for investments, but for my primary. And I go on the online data and they're talking about some of these areas like it's the most horrible areas in the world. Okay. And the area I'm looking at, they're like, oh my gosh, this area has so many sketchy parts. And this isn't Norfolk, Virginia, just one of the towns I was looking in. There's 7 cities in the Hampton Roads area, right? So just choose one of 7, right? And I'm looking at it, and the city data's like, oh my gosh, there's so many sketchy areas. And I literally drive around where they're saying they're sketchy. I see black people in these areas. I see low income black people, people who their cars aren't as nice. It doesn't necessarily mean they don't have money, but I got instincts. I know. Maybe it's lower income and minority, but that's it. And they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's so scary. I could never live there." And the houses are super undervalued. And I go there. I literally go, "Okay, they're talking about this place. Let me keep driving." And I see houses that are a little bit smaller, little track homes, right? A little bit less of a footprint, but I don't see any crime. I look at the crime stats. You can go to the police departments. They put that stuff right online. I go look at the other crime reports. I look at the neighborhood. I'm like, there's black people. That doesn't mean that there's tons of crime. Maybe little things like theft, but trust me, that's in my neighborhood, okay? And I live in a nice neighborhood. Always have. And so you run into this wall where it's like, okay, I gave it to you 6 years ago before I had purchased enough homes to know, but now it's really more and clear. Do not take advice about crime or neighborhoods from people who are not a minority. Specifically, black people are the ultimate source because everyone and their mom can be scared of a black person. I swear to God, this is it. And that's why I have to say this. You can't take that advice because if I would have taken this advice 6 years ago, I would have nothing. And the 47,000 people between YouTube, Facebook who are in my groups who have something, who have 6, 7 houses, would have nothing. And it's not just on the investor level, because in investors, I would expect that you know a little bit more. And you're a little bit more savvy, but even they couldn't do it. And especially when you get down to people who aren't investors or looking at it, they are straight up scared. And even when you look, you see, and you look at the crime statistics, they are saying these areas are sketchy literally because there's black people. That is the only thing. I know how to analyze the market. I taught you guys how to analyze the market. I know how to look at a neighborhood. I've taught you guys how to look at neighborhoods, and it's been successful. And the reality is there's a lot of things going for this. We are in a time and age where people who are black just get the cops called on them for sitting in Starbucks, for going to the park, for breathing, for looking at their own houses. And it makes me realize that when I read that, I was like, people are genuinely scared of black people. People who are not minority, and if you ever take advice from people about crime, you need to make sure you're talking to a black person or Hispanic person to get the real deal, not all your fears laced all up in this, okay? You really need to get the truth of this because if you listen to those people, they'll tell you it's the worst place in the world. And I'm like, I live here. It's not that bad. What are you talking about? And what that does is just before we really started being really strong about that, it just limited your chances, your abilities to purchase houses you can actually afford. And you gave these people a benefit of the doubt. But the benefit of the doubt is people are deathly afraid. You can just have a black person in a neighborhood, and that was enough for white flight in the 1950s. Now it's still enough for people to be like, I would never move there, right? And even if the crime and the stats to show that there is nothing going on, just that fact alone, if you go on city data to some of the places I was looking, they were acting like these places were the worst places in the world. Like, look, there are some bad places. DC has some of them. Baltimore has some of them. I've seen places that were really bad, and I still was okay in both of those places. This place is a walk in the park. I mean, I'm not nervous, scared, or not. This is nothing compared to real bad. But if you look at these city data, you just have a black population. It's all of a sudden the worst place in the world. And I realize there's a lot of fear. They can just see this. It doesn't matter what the stats say. It doesn't matter what the statistics say. It doesn't matter what the real crimes say. They are scared to death. That area is sketchy. They couldn't go there or live there. And now there's reasons for this. I know I read a story that when there's a news program and they have a black male or a white male who did crime that day, if they have a black male over a white male, they'll consistently choose the black male. Like, that's proven. You can go look the study up about media coverage and how they coverage based on race and minorities. Now, this has been happening for a long time. What the result is, they've been continuously scaring the heck out of white people about black people, which affects housing, for like the last 20, 30 years. Like, absolutely scared. I'm saying it. I am saying it. I am not backing down from this. You know this is true, right? They're absolutely scared people. So when I was taking that, looking around and trying to like figure out what the actual truth was versus the perception, if you go online, it was like, wow, to these people, every single neighborhood is horrible. There's no level of, well, maybe this block is okay, this isn't, this. No, the whole zip code is a war zone. So when someone says that, I was just on a podcast called Bigger Cash Flow with Bo Kim, and he was like, what about these misconceptions about the war zone? And I was like, generally at this stage in the game, we've been so successful, I don't talk to people who calls a minority or low-income neighborhood a war zone, because your mentality at that level, because, I insulate myself. I don't want to talk to you. If you think because I said low income, it automatically equates to crime, drugs, poverty, and guns, that's your problem. There is a wide diaspora in every single city and state of the black or Hispanic community. It is not all one level. I don't care where you go, right? There's different levels and different classes, and some pros, things come with each one. And so I just don't talk to people like that, because I'm like, you don't have any concept outside of your own world, privileged world at that, if you have no clue about what it's like to be lower income or maybe working class. You automatically think they're all in jails. Because let me tell you something, the people in my neighborhood, some went to jail, but it wasn't all of them, It was like, half of them were fine. We were fine, you know what I mean? But like, in your mind, if you equate that, maybe you need to take some time to learn how different classes of people live. And it's not like they're living in like a freaking, it's not cell block D everywhere just because there's a large mass or large black population. And this is so simple and obvious that I'm saying that, but I'm telling you now, you need to start asking if you ask for, hey, what about this neighborhood or advice, or you're moving to a new town, or you're looking at the city data form, you need to get someone who is a minority from that town to ask. And if you're a white person or Asian person who was like asking these questions about crime, and they said, oh my gosh, it's all horrible, and you were like, no, it can't be all horrible, you need to ask somebody who is black. I'm not telling only black people. I'm telling specifically black people. You need to get your information from black people. White people and Asian, you need to get your information from black people too, because people are deathly afraid. If you go on the forum, anywhere that there's a black population, they will make you seem every single person there is waiting to go to jail. That is not good. That is why people are scared to death. That's why that lady cop in Oklahoma killed that black man who had his hands up, because she said she was so scared. And the scariest she's ever been in her life. You need to stop watching the news, because they're playing you guys, folks, working you up to this fearful level. But what I'm saying is, okay, shut that out. If you are doing this in this price range, shut it out. Get the real deal, because it will have you bypassing homes you should have brought in, not only for your community's sake, but for your pocketbook's sake, thinking that it's the worst thing in the world. Now, if you need to know what the actual crime stats are, you can go to spotcrime.com, you go to crimereports.com, or for the most part, you can go to that local police station's website. Half of them have them online where you can click and put an address in and go, oh, there's nothing going on for the last 3 months here, right? But if you talk to those same people online, it's like World War III and Armageddon down there, because they're black. Not because actually there's war and crime in every single area that they're talking about, but because their fear perception probably egged on by the media that consistently, if there's two people, will show the black person as the worst criminal. It's literally scared. So I'm so happy, I'm really open now about, I help with black professionals, but the thing is, the benefit of that, I can tell you guys the real truth. Do not take advice from just anyone. Preferably, you need to talk to someone from who's of color, because people's perceptions are so skewed and so scared over the randomest person. Just you being a color is enough for you to be a criminal in their eyes, or scary, or could possibly do something to them. You can't just be a normal human being to them. They are so scared, and that's basically what I came to. I'll answer any questions if you want. But, I've been doing this for 6-7 years, and I was combating those stereotypes on an investor level, because I was like, there's stats and statistics to show you what this is. But now, even on the personal level, now that I'm coming out of that world, to where people who should know better and should know how to analyze it, I'm going to this other world, and I'm just like, wow, it's even worse than the investor world. And there's nothing wrong with these neighborhoods. Y'all are tripping. And you're scared. You're straight up scared. I'm never coming to you for advice, ever, when it comes to this. I'll come to you for advice for, like, how can I be more punctual and on time for meetings, but not for housing, crime, neighborhood blocking out. No, they're not the ones. So I hope that gives you perspective. I want you to look a little deeper and make sure you're talking to the right sources. Any questions out there? I only see one on my Facebook. Let me go to YouTube. Deandra Williams, thanks for your time. Yes, thanks. Love your knowledge and honesty. It's nice to catch a live. Watching from Kingston, Jamaica. You never lied. I do not. Checking in. Hey, Arthur. He's one of my clients. True. Facts, right? Arthur's sitting there, right? Like, seriously scared. You can't talk to someone like that. Do not go online to get advice from them. You need to go to the source. Someone retracted a message. From the picture, it might have been someone I asked to politely leave if they don't like what I have to say. But let me see any over here. Nope. I'll check one last place. If you guys don't have any questions, I'll get on off. Let me look at the comments. Let me see. Fresh. There we go. Dexter Brown, true. David Ing, people always fear what they don't understand. David, hey, speak on it. You were pretty brave. You just took what I did and you just went for it. Uh-huh. Anything? Yeah, so I don't see any questions on Facebook. Let me see Facebook. I just lost it. This is sort of a funny post, Cynthia. So if you go to my YouTube page, you're going to start seeing t-shirts I had created saying I invest in black neighborhoods, or I invest in black communities. Feel free to do it if you're going to be, if you're really strong about that. Let me turn the volume on that down. Sorry, there's a bit of a lag. Love feedback from the audience. And please understand, if you say something crazy or out of whack, it'll be your last time, because I have no problems deleting or blocking people. I've been doing it for 6 years. Very comfortable. I did an event this past Christmas for kids whose parents were in prison, says balloons and more gifts. It was in McKinney, Texas. I was surprised that many parents in that wealthy area were in prison, not jail. Okay, speak on it. Goodness, Facebook, what are you doing? Sorry, I'm just looking. Because Facebook had a lot of comments, so I'm trying to find it again. But sometimes, if you guys haven't noticed, Facebook is very buggy. If you guys don't know, Twitter's way better anyways. Got me frowning. All right. Dexter saying, What's the best way to find out area to farm for leads, says Mary Wallace. I mean, I teach people that. It's sort of like a bit of a process. I have to show and demonstrate. I can't do it on the live. But yeah, there is a methodical process. You're not just throwing a dart at the wall. It depends on where you are, what's your location, are you flying, are you driving? And we take all those factors into consideration to pick the best place for you. Some people just go ahead and get a find a house, and it's like you should not be anywhere near that house. That house makes no sense for where you're located or what you're trying to do or how much money you have. So it's more of a methodical process. If anyone goes online and says the best way to find area to farm for leads and they just give you an answer, I don't know. It needs to be nuanced enough for your situation. Oh, I guess there wasn't that many comments. Okay. And DeAndre Reynolds said, Lisa, how can I get started with your program? I'm completing your course on your Facebook page and I Facebook Messenger you. Good. Hey, DeAndre, I start with strategy sessions after people send me details because I need to know what your economic situation is, where you're located, and what you're trying to do and accomplish. And then from there, we have a strategy session call. So, DeAndre, so right here, fill out this application. You did the free training bundle, and I hope you enjoyed it. It's real talk. So go to affordable and real estate investments.com/details, fill that out, and we start with a strategy session. Keith Warner says, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. They're scared of the neighborhood until it's time for gentrification. Right, right. Like, and for a lot of those people, they don't see like affordable housing as a viable option for the middle class. It's either I got to flip and push people out, but there's absolutely no consciousness or trying to be a better person to think about the community as a whole to try to see if they can help mend, fix, and keep it affordable. Right? Very, very predatory. And okay, so I think we're good. Okay, guys, I'm going to go off. It's a lovely Saturday morning. Have a great time. Thank you for the likes and hearts. There's going to be people who, like I said, are entitled to what they think I'm going to say. But I am very clear about who I'm here to help. I am very clear about the differences in all that. And you really need to go. If someone's giving you advice, you got to be like, excuse me, sir. If you're telling me this area is horrible, have you been there? No. Have you looked at the crime statistics to make sure what you're saying is accurate? No. Then who are you to tell me about these neighborhoods, especially as a non-minority? Right? So you need to be discerning about who you're taking information from. And if you don't trust me, fine. I mean, I'm proven. But but you need to start asking those extra levels of just discerning questions about who is this person giving advice that I'm supposed to be listening to. Right? Okay. All right, DeAndre, then you should have been either routed to get on the schedule or put down a deposit for the session, okay? So thank you, everybody. I hope this was helpful, but you got to do this. All right. And with that, have a lovely afternoon. Bye.